It's
9.
beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
8765432.
The whole environment of it. Hey, we have Frozen in the back, playing in the background. We have, very festive. And welcome to NQ Unscripted. Great to have you back. And of course, I'm Lorne Rubis, and I'm here with the wonderful Dr. Norma Schneider, who is our acting intergalactic president, like, queen of the universe kind of thing here. And
For sure.
thanks for coming again. And it was kind of impromptu because we wanted to have you maybe talk about, I get them mixed up, Norma, who after January our interim president is going to be. Is it interim or acting?
It's interim.
Interim, right.
Yeah.
So I think that announcement's out there, but maybe you can elaborate on that and talk a little bit about Joan and just what the thinking was of the board and where we're going.
Yeah, great. I was so excited when I learned that the board had appointed Joan as our interim president. So those of you who have been in the organization for a while will remember Joan, as she was our vice president of external relations and also our corporate counsel. But Joan brought such an energy to NorQuest, and she truly was ambassador for the vision and our strat plan. So we know that we can trust her to just continue on that path and just keep carrying the organization along. Very inspiring. As an executive team, we're absolutely thrilled to be working with her.
We really are. And it was a very thoughtful choice of our board, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's kind of tricky, and so the board can really take their time around making that choice around the next long-term president. And Joan knows us so well, and you of course work very closely with her, and I have too. When I was at ATB, of course, she was on our board, and she's now the chair of ATB Financial, which is a very big chair position, and it's a. And of course, I know her also because she's the chair of the innovation committee at Covenant Health, and I'm on that innovation board. So we're all, and Michelle Beck knows her, and so she's coming right into almost a team that really knows, and she knows the college so well. And Norma, you've done a phenomenal job. Like, I just love the way you've stepped in, and you're so much fun to work with, and I admire you. And I loved, by the way you kicked off the whole day the other day on the 29th. It was so much fun to watch you do that whole video thing where you took those different characters and stuff. What was the genesis of that? Like, did you just? It was so much fun. I thought it was very creative. And
we did a video the previous year, and then when the organizing committee got together, Rebecca said, the organizing committee really wants you to do video again. And I'm like, oh, what are we going to do this time? So we thought, well, let's introduce the voice of the students.
Yeah,
because it was all about reimagining higher ed. And not only that, it was about culture.
Yeah.
And your team led some great workshops, and as did the customer experience team.
Yeah.
So it was a really good day for people to contribute to the future of the college.
Yeah, it really was a good day. And, speaking of students, we're going to come back and talk about Helping Hands in a bit after about halfway through. We've got Cherie and Eurydice from the Student Association here to join us.
Awesome.
But we're going to dig into another thing. So any other comments about Joan around what happens with Joan next and what her thoughts are? And then we had to send this letter back to the advanced education because they asked all of our colleges, and we thought our listeners and our watchers ought to really know what we said. The essence, we won't go over the whole thing. And so Kara's going to ask you some questions, and maybe you could give the behind the curtains view, the same view that the minister got.
For sure.
All right?
Yeah,
so
we'd love
one thing
to.
about Joan, maybe next steps, and then we'll get into some of these questions.
So Joan is getting ready already. So she's been chatting back and forth with her online last night. She's so excited to be coming back to the college and joining us. So I think we have a lot to look forward to, and she has some things she needs to tie up over the course of this month, as we all do, and she'll be ready to hit the ground running.
In January, right?
Absolutely.
All righty. So let's segue into this, and thank you, Norma, because part of the whole thing of NQ Unscripted is to be as open and transparent with all of our team, 1,000 people that want to show up for this. And so Kira's got the questions, and we're going to rapid fire them to you.
Awesome.
So as we established on the special edition Friday Unscripted, when the budget actually came out, NorQuest has positioned itself well. We have an aggressive growth strategy, but people still have a lot of questions, and I think you addressed most of them in this letter. So will any programs or services see changes this academic year?
No. And this is a commitment that we've made to our student body and also to the minister, is that this isn't about making cuts to services for students. This is really about looking at our organization and doing a deep dive into some of the things that were brought up in the McKinnon report, for instance. So McKinnon report told us that we were a great run organization, but there's also messages in there for the system that say, are we the most efficient? Are we getting the best outcomes possible? So we're going to continue to look at those things.
What about cuts to staff? Are layoffs planned?
No large-scale layoffs at NorQuest for this upcoming year, but we are looking, as I mentioned a couple of times, we're looking at every single position that becomes vacant and just taking a pause to say, is this one we need to fill now? And we're also doing reviews of the areas as positions become vacant and say, are we doing this the best way possible? So let's use those opportunities to really make those changes that we need to make.
And I think I've heard you say that, and correct me if I understand this, wherever we can, we can get the skill match, we'll try and get people from internal to step up into those roles.
Absolutely.
Where we can, right? We're really going to
Absolutely.
take a hard look and not just, hire from the outside because it's more convenient or whatever, right?
Yes, absolutely.
What are we doing regarding the policy of red tape reduction?
So we heard about red tape reduction at the government level. We have our own fair share of red tape around here too. So we started that list on red tape as the culture champions went out and spoke to people across the organization, and you told us what some of those red tape things are. And so we're going to start with those, and also the consultations with students over the last couple of weeks have pointed out some other real red tape areas that we need to look at as well. So we're going to look at all of them. Right across the organization.
Yeah, and that's a relentless, never-ending, right? Like, we're just
Yeah.
going to keep trying, look wherever we can to reinvent
Absolutely.
things, improve things, sometimes just fundamentally, exponentially change them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Will this change of red tape reduction improve the student experience?
Well, it should, because whenever you're looking at efficiencies and kind of the whole premise behind efficiencies is looking for how does it add value for the student. So whenever you're looking at a process that you want to make more streamlined, the value chain is always back to the student or the stakeholder and saying, how am I adding value? If I'm not adding value, then let's look at getting rid of it. If I am adding value, let's leave it there.
Can we talk a little bit more about how you'll actually manage the reduction to this year's budget?
So I mentioned one is around efficiencies, continuing to look for efficiencies, and then continuing to take those pause on vacant positions, so as much through attrition as possible, and always looking for, are there new opportunities for us to bring new kinds of revenue into the organization?
Yeah, and that's one of the things about this foundation around really already investing in a growth engine,
Yeah.
right? Because we're not, cut your way to greatness, right?
No,
And
absolutely not.
and so reinventing that and all the creativity that we have in the college here, and yeah, I've been very impressed with how really entrepreneurial people really are. And we got more to come, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're not letting off the pedal at
Yeah.
all.
You've already talked a little bit about alternative revenue, but there are some questions surrounding tuition hikes. Should we expect tuition hikes in the new year?
Well, we're going through the process right now, so there have been announcements made by the government. We're waiting for legislation, any kind of legislation to pass, but we've started the consultation with students and with our academic council next week, and to understand what are the best ways of moving forward in a different kind of shared model with students on tuitions and fees across the college. Yeah.
And the reality is, it's been a long time since there's been, how long has tuition been frozen?
5 years.
5 years. I mean,
Yeah.
in the spirit of just being direct with people, they ought to expect increases, right? I mean, that's, every college has got to think about it, and we have to be prudent that way. And I appreciate the consultation approach that you're taking too, Norma, on it, right? So,
Do you anticipate any changes in terms of our relationships with industry, international partners, Indigenous communities, other strategically significant partners?
Yes. More.
Perfect. Those are all the rapid fire questions. So if you have
Yeah.
any.
thank you, Kira. And and so maybe we have our audience that may have a couple more. So one of the things that was really evident is we're kind of doubling down around working with the business community, right? And really our workforce advisory council at a C-suite level, because the business community out there loves what NorQuest is doing.
Absolutely.
And they really feel like they have a sense of connection as we change people's lives for the better and prepare them for whatever their next step is, which in often case is the workforce, that they really feel connected to that. And you guys have done a phenomenal job historically of that, but we're even doubling down on our commitment there. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's an important part for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So are you taking one?
Well, I need to go shopping.
Well,
Yeah,
there you go.
I mean, there's still things on this tree. There should be none of these left on the tree.
Well, you know what? That's a great. Well, we're going to ask for maybe one or more questions, Norma, and then we're going to segue and bring on Cherie and Eurydice.
Okay.
But any other questions? We all good? So I don't know if I'm going to have a chance. I'm sure I'll talk to you before, but do you want to? I don't know. Are you going to have a chance to talk to the whole student or the whole community before? Or
Yeah, we are. So at the breakfast.
at the breakfast on
Yeah,
the 13th,
so the
right?
13th is the breakfast. So looking forward to seeing everyone there. Your chance to say goodbye to Jody, and for us to, as an executive, to wish you all a wonderful holiday season for 2019, and lots to look forward to in the new year.
Yeah, and thanks for pivoting and just coming on. We kind of decided this, I think, about 48 hours ago, and there you were.
Yeah.
Thank you, Norma.
No,
Really appreciate
no,
it.
much
All
appreciated.
right, well, good. We'll see you through the day, and
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Cherie and Eurydice to come on and thank Norma.
Awesome.
All right, there we go.
Woohoo, let's
All
go
right.
shopping.
All right.
Oh, I think I'm supposed to be here.
All right.
There we go.
So
Unscripted.
you probably all know Cherie and Eurydice, who's the executive director of our Students Association, and her almost brand new colleague. And maybe you could talk about Eurydice and what her role is, and formally introduce her a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So this is Eurydice Domlin. She is our new business and operations manager in the Student Association.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
She's been with us for 3 months, and she has dove right in and been learning a ton of stuff about the Student Association and how we function, and has been learning a lot just about NorQuest, the NorQuest community, and has, through the Helping Hands campaign, has had a great opportunity to learn just how amazingly generous the NorQuest community has been.
So this is a time of giving, and we're about abundance here at NorQuest, and you and the association are a reflection of that. And so maybe you could give just a short history around Helping Hands and what we started with this year and where we are. And for those that haven't had a chance to contribute yet, we're running short of time just because of the logistics, but what can they do in the next day or so? But let's go through the history and where we are now, and
For
then
sure.
what next steps are.
Yeah, so most people know that I've been here for a fair bit of time, about 13 years, but I
Wow,
started with the
congratulations.
Student Association about 11 years ago. And when I started there, we had a Christmas party that would always happen for students, and students could bring their children, and their children would get gifts. Through that event, about 30 or 40 children would receive gifts. And what we were seeing when we were talking to students was that there was so much more of a need. This is the time of year where students are really struggling between exams, part-time jobs, and just the pressures that come with the holidays.
Stressful time, yeah.
It absolutely is a very stressful time, and we just thought, hey, what can we do that would get more gifts to kids, relieve that stress for those students? And I'd been part of another organization who had a similar kind of activity, and so we came up with the Helping Hands campaign in 2009. So it's been here for 10 years. This is our 10-year anniversary. We just realized that when we were required to get that information for today. So yay!
What a celebration that is. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and then trying to look back to see just how many students and their children we had supported. And so we didn't have all of the numbers, but we got to just over 5,000 over that 10-year period, which is pretty amazing. This year in particular, so I'll just tell you how the program works. Basically, students self-identify, and they can come in, they can register themselves as well as their children to receive gifts during the holiday season. We put the children's age and the gift ideas on the tree, and then students, staff, faculty come in, they pick the tags, they go out, do the shopping. If they don't want to do shopping, because they don't want to go to the mall, they can also just give us $20 and we'll do shopping for you. So then all of those gifts come in and we get them to students
That's
before
fantastic.
they leave for exams. And we just hope that we've seen the impact that it's had with students, and it's just been such an amazing program.
So I think that if I remember, there were 400 and some, is that correct you said?
465
465.
total this year.
And
yeah.
how many left?
As of last week, Eurydice, you can kind of.
So last week, and before I start, I want to thank faculty and staff and students for coming in, because last week, Wednesday, we had 300 hands left on the tree, and people have stepped up so much. We only have 20 left as
Awesome.
of right now.
Fantastic.
So because we have 20 left, and we have faculty and staff wrapping gifts right now in the multipurpose room. So if you're free, feel free to go in and help wrap some gifts. But if you are confident you could shop today, brave the snow, please come to the office and take one of those 20 hands and bring it back to us tomorrow so we can finish wrapping that.
So if Eurydice looked at me rather sideways there, it's because I do have a helping hand that I have not got my shopping done. But you've given me reprieve. If I get it done today and bring it back in tomorrow, then that's the last day, but you'll take it, right?
We will take it. And if you have, please, not just you, but anybody else, if you have it, you're holding on to a hand, please bring it tomorrow morning.
Or holding onto a gift that belongs to a hand.
Yes.
And if somehow you miss it, I know because you also do a food bank and you also have kind of a fund that you build, you'll take those $20 bills anytime, right?
Absolutely. If for some reason you're like, hey, I had full intentions of stopping by the student association, but life happened, the money that we use to fund the Helping Hands campaign, because we have to budget in case people don't come and pick names, which they always do, but we need to make sure we have the money
Good for
because we
you.
don't want
Yep.
students to ever
Got a contingency.
not get
Yep.
a gift. But that all comes out of our emergency fund, which also supports our emergency food bank and our emergency bus ticket program, which are also going to be heavily used during December, January. Those are always really tough times for students with emergency bus tickets, with delays in funding and stuff like that we just know kind of happens. Definitely, we see a increased usage in those kinds of programs. So if for some reason you have your $20 and you miss being able to buy a gift, we'd happily take that to go and buy some mac and cheese or some items for the food bank.
So thank you. Now, but we're going to segue. But thank you, Eurydice, for all the work. I know it's a big process to go, and there's a lot of logistics to go make it happen. Thank you. Any questions from our crew out there before we segue into the next discussion we're going to have about students? Okay.
Sure.
People have lots of questions about Helping Hands.
Awesome.
It seems like there are more hands than ever before this year.
Yes.
Is that the case? Does it increase every year?
We kind of saw it steady out at around 300 for quite a few years, but it seems as though this year we've definitely seen a huge increase. Part of that is likely because enrollment is going up, so sort of a natural, but we are also seeing just an increased need coming from students and being more aware of some of the programs and services and knowing that they can access this. So
And it's probably a little bit of reflection of the economy and
Yeah.
stuff too, right? I mean, just reality, right? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. What else you got?
Do the emergency funds always cover all the hands that aren't taken?
they always have. In the 10 years that we've been doing this, the money that we've had, we've just had such a generous outpouring of support from all of the faculty and staff at NorQuest that it's been very rare. We also have some generous helping elves in our own office. So if for some reason our student association funds wouldn't cover it, we have some contingencies.
And I would like to add that this year we've had such an outpouring of donations that we haven't had to use our emergency funds. So thank you to the staff, thank you to the faculty and the students for really stepping up this year.
So I went and I took 5 helping hands and I made them all the same gift because I'm lazy. So they were all a blanket, and we were wondering, what's the number 1 toy request?
Ooh, that depends on age.
Yes. I went shopping yesterday for some of the hands, and what we saw were mainly cars for boys and clothing for girls. A lot of sweaters for both student and children.
So if I hang my
Yeah.
my kind of a facsimile with Lorne on there with a Starbucks card on it, is that a little bit obvious? You probably would pull that off, I suppose.
Well, we don't put names on here
Okay.
to
That
protect
might be a
anonymity.
giveaway.
Well, you'd have to put your age on here, Lauren. So are you okay with that?
No,
There's
I'm
enough
not.
room.
We also
That was a cheap shot of you.
we also do let people self-identify if they are in need. So I feel like if you can afford to buy yourself a Starbucks every day,
That's probably true.
So going
Well said.
forward, how can we assist the Student Association in the food bank and emergency funds? And do you have kind of like a how-to guide?
we don't. But if that's something that people are interested in, we can make something like that and bring it to you and share it for sure.
In the
We
live
can have
chat-
sort of a list of the most requested items or what it's sort of in our emergency hampers. If people are looking to donate, they have specific items
Why
that
don't
they
we follow
can.
up on that, Cherie?
Yeah,
Because that
for
might
sure.
be a good idea to do
Some
that.
of the
Thank
live chat is suggesting that teams can give gifts this way or give birthday gifts across the college this way, and maybe if we have a how-to, we can make that happen.
All righty.
Absolutely. And
Love
I'm
it.
absolutely open to having a conversation. If there's people out there who want more opportunity to connect with us, we can set up a meeting, have a chat, and, maybe there's an opportunity to expand Helping Hands to beyond the holiday season.
As we keep working on our NorQuest purpose, it's about changing people's lives for the better. And that's who we are at NorQuest. That's what makes a NorQuester. So this is just another subset of that. So as we what other things you have there, Kira? So let's segue quickly,
Sure.
Cherie. This is also stressful time because exams,
Mm-hmm.
papers, you can feel it in the elevators and in the hallways. What kind of support do we have for our students right now? Just, other than just straight compassion and care, but other things that are going on to help our students navigate through this time.
Yeah, for sure. So December is always a tough time.
Yeah.
You're definitely seeing increase of students needing that sort of support. The number one thing is just definitely being understanding, empathetic. When you're seeing students, understanding where they're coming from. If a student is looking like they're, maybe look like they're half asleep, it's probably because they've been up all night studying for exams. But we partner with the college during the month of December, and we have a whole bunch of different activities and events. Yesterday we had the dogs on campus for pet therapy, and they're going to be at the library next week.
Okay, great.
We have the stress-free zones with free massages for students coming up next week as well.
Yep.
And then the Center for Growth and Harmony always has opportunity for students who need to go and
talk to
access.
someone, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
so there's lots of stuff that's sort of happening. We always have information on our website, which is SANQC.ca. Shameless plug. But all our information is there, and we have information in our office about the different events and activities that are coming up for students. But December is really focused on providing that opportunity for reprieve and self-care. Creating quiet spaces for students to be able to study, and again, just understanding that that's where students are at.
Yeah, and it's
And-
also a stressful time for faculty and for other people too. And so it's talk about being compassionate. I think it kind of goes, goes through everybody here. And understand this is, a lot of deadlines, a lot of different things in our personal lives. So just a little bit more forgiveness and room and space for each other and recognizing our feelings, right?
Yeah, I absolutely think that's
Yeah.
essential in terms of
Yeah.
just making sure that everyone on campus is, making it through December and into the new year.
And sometime I was reading about that. Sometimes there's additional pressure that somehow you should feel a certain way at this time of the year, and we feel the way we feel.
Yep.
And it's just being able to be emotional scientists with each other, I guess, a little bit. So, with that, any kind of wrap up stuff, Kira? First of all, thank you so much for all the work that you guys do with our students.
Playing tag.
With our students. And we didn't hear about your history about being a mythical character behind your beautiful name, but maybe we'll have that for another
One
time.
yeah.
Welcome to the college. Cherie, thank you for all your work. 13 wonderful
Absolutely.
years. And, you know, it's more about doing everything we can for our learners. It's the center of who we are. It's why we're here. And thank you, and again to Norma and to everybody else. Kara, any wrap-up comments?
Absolutely separate from the SA, I also would like to have a shameless plug for the Q Prize.
Q Prize. Q Prize. Watch the Q Prize application process. This is a whole new thought at the college. I don't even know if anybody else. Doesn't matter. We're doing it, and it's about being exponential, about thinking big, and about giving a chance for NorQuesters to really put their minds to work around how might we, have we considered, and to think about things we might do 10 times better, and then to invest in it. And I want to thank Norma and the rest of the executive team for being behind this. This is a big thought. And so you can put your best idea forward, your best thoughts forward. See Kira if you want any help around ideation or any other work. Put the application in. Our Workforce Advisory Council is going to be involved in judging the best presentations. But we're going to do something with it. It's not just an idea. It's turning it into the next step. We're going to play, experiment, and we're going to continue to do that at college. The Q Prize is just one example. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. And thanks again. Bye for now.